Hey everyone! Hope you're ready for today. Today is all about emotions and screaming. And if you do not know who I am Soren Sedit, the head teacher at RMS Vocal Institute. If you suddenly ended up on our YouTube stream without even knowing who we are. So, let's hear from you all where you're from and basically where your home is, right? You can, of course, ask me anything voice related, but the main topic today is emotions and screaming. And that's not all for today. We also have a Black Friday discount code if you stay along and watch to the very end. The code will give you a 30% off from our bundle sessions and 40% off of our other sessions. So that means doubles and singles and so on. So let me just see quickly if any of you have written where you're from. Okay, no one yet, but we'll probably see something later. So let's dig into it. Have you tried feeling sad, or at least not in a good mood when screaming? Did it also give you a worse result? Maybe strain, hoarseness, or a weaker voice in any way? It is crazy how these things change how our voice reacts, right? Yet, we still need to sound as good as possible when recording or having a live show, even though the emotions might not be where they need to be, right? It is crazy hard to balance this out. We feel the stress from singing well when recording or singing our heart out at live shows. Even though there might be something in our personal lives that's bugging us or hindering us a little bit mentally to be 100% present. Or maybe you even have fans expecting great things from you. It is a lot to even think about that type of a pressure, right? I do not expect Jonathan Davis to sit here and watch the webinar, but imagine being in a really huge band and having that many people expect great things from you every single time. I have been there in every aspect. I have always put very high expectations on myself. If I just made one single mistake, I would feel so bad about it that I didn't do a good enough job on live shows. When recording, I expected everything, and I do mean everything, to be as good as possible, and had to be able to sing for a minimum of 6 hours, or I would again have very low self-esteem about it. Really, I actually even pushed myself once to record a full album. If I remember correctly, it was in 13 hours with every layering and everything. Finished a full album with 9 songs and just done. Just to see if that was even possible. And yeah, I in general just pushed myself to more than what you really should. It took me a long time to understand and accept that we are just humans and we all make mistakes. And even as some tattooists say that, I know it's a little bit off topic, but some tattooists always say that the best artists are better at hiding their mistakes. Think about that a little bit. Only by calming down the expectations made my performances a lot better. Because now I was in balance. What I think is that balance is balance. when it's there, we can think more rationally in every task of life, and not just when we're singing. Do you want to see me show you some video clips of me being very unbalanced to balanced on stage? Here's at least some videos, some small clips from me singing live from when I was in Die, the band named Die, on the album Rise of the Rotten, and we did quite a few live shows with that band. And then the last video clip will be with my newer band Verdande, which is a prog metal band. So you'll see me in both death metal and progressive metal, and see the difference. It's actually quite obvious, and you also need to see like improvement of everything. So it's probably good for you guys to see someone going from point A to B, right? So let's watch the video so you can see and hear what I'm talking about. So notice how much more free the voice gets when we're not stressed out. Anything can really push us to that limit where it's just we don't, we're not able to be there 100%. I think that what you see from the second clip to the third clip is exactly that I'm getting more used to being on stage, but I remember being very, very nervous because that was the biggest show we did with Die back in the day. And I think that just the pressure of that many people in front of me, that was pretty nerve-wracking in every aspect. But then you can see on the last one that I'm much more free in every aspect with my voice and with how I'm expressing myself in a much more calm way. Even though I'm moving a lot, I would say at least it doesn't mean that it was a stressful situation for me. I at least think that you could see and hear on the voice as well that it's just gradually opening up more and getting more free in every aspect, really. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the chat. So yeah, if there's any questions about this. Also, as I said before, don't forget that at the end of this webinar, I will display a Black Friday discount code that will give you 30% off from our bundle sessions and 40% off of all other sessions. So this topic about emotions and screaming is kind of a follow-up to the video series I made not long ago. When this webinar is in replay mode or replayed mode here on YouTube, then there will be a direct link to these videos. Otherwise, you can go on our channel and find them right there. It's called the Good Advices, where I talk about live singing and recording, which you can watch after this webinar. One of the key elements is in these videos is all about scheduling, so you don't get caught up in any negative emotions or thoughts before going on stage or recording your live music or your recording your albums or EPs. So I'll just quickly go in the chat and see what you guys have to say. Oh, just change the screen a little bit. Hello, Flycam. I will read what you have to say. When you say balanced during those video examples, do you mean emotionally balanced or in all aspects? In this case, I do mean both emotionally and also, you could also maybe call it focused on the task at hand, instead of being caught up by the stressful situation that you're in. So I do mean in every aspect, because it also is about how the voice reacts on these three different clips. Not saying that the second clip isn't great, it sounds okay and everything, but the third one definitely has more openness and relaxed phonation, sound production in every aspect, really, if you ask me. So yeah, some singers, to get a little bit more emotionally balanced or calmed down before a live show, some will go for a run before the show to get the airflow up and running and ready for the task later, which I also think is to clear the mind in many aspects. Some, of course, drink alcohol to try to get away from these emotions, I guess, as well. At least trying their best. Personally, I can only drink one beer before stage time, because it makes it a lot harder for me to control everything. I feel less when having a drink, so it's easier to make mistakes. And even for me, probably letting these emotions run with me a little bit. So, emotions need to be controlled to a certain extent before the show, but also when we are screaming on stage, of course, or in a live recording setting. Does that mean that we cannot sing with emotions when screaming? No, of course not. We need emotions to show that we mean the words that are coming out of our mouth, of course. However, singing from a placement or spot of pure emotion will blow out your voice faster than you can say RMS Vocal Institute. Believe me on this, it can go so fast when you just sing with pure emotion. Which I always think is a little bit weird, why we cannot sing with pure emotion. If you speak with emotion, no consent, then it's a lot of the time not really affecting our voice a lot, other than if you're speaking like, yeah, I'm very, very sad. But then we're in the whispering zone much more, or at least very low volumed voice productions, which can be a little bit more tricky to do correctly. But if we're talking about just speaking and speaking up clearly and everything, nothing happens, even though you're maybe speaking with some amount of emotion. Let's say you're explaining something to a friend that happened to you, or a bad experience of any sort, right? But you are ready to explain it. So focused, balanced, while emotion, speaking of expressing emotion, definitely seems to be a thing. The way to fix it is by knowing what to do when in a song and practicing it enough for you only to think about 2, maybe 3 things while singing. That could, of course, be both recording or actually live shows. For example, yours could be something like breathing and pitch being the main aspects that you're thinking about when recording or live shows. Breathing pitch register could be another. Breathing pitch following the band. What I mean about that is rhythmically, if the band is not as tight as they should have been that one night because they cannot hear each other, then it doesn't really make sense that you are on perfect time. So following the band can really be a thing sometimes. I have tried a few times where my band were not synchronized at all. We had some ways to get away with this and get back on track if needed. But yeah, it is definitely a thing that can happen sometimes where you need that extra focus to be on your bandmates and that everything is being played in the right tempo, because they can also be emotionally pushed a little bit or stressed out, or how you want to explain it. Otherwise, it can look something like pitch, follow band, keep the crowd pleased. So, of course, entertaining. We should at least not try to think about more than 3 things when singing. We all know that we are not good at multitasking as human beings, sadly enough. But wait, where were the emotions in these options, or these ways of being and being in focus on stage? When does emotions appear? When you are sincere and honest. So what does that mean to us as singers? Is that when thinking about technique and then adding emotion is what we're talking about. So you cannot, as I mentioned, just sing from a spot of emotion. That's very, very bad for your voice and can go wrong very fast. It's first technique and then being honest about the words that's coming out. So you're not just um, like getting too emotionally caught up with what's going on. So honesty comes from many places, of course, but really being honest about what you're feeling at either the given moment or how that song made you feel when you were writing it. So what I like to do is like think about is that you have to find out what makes you happy, sad, or angry. You cannot expect others to feel it if you don't feel it yourself. So at least figure these ones out, even though we have other important emotions as well that we could use as singers, for example, empowering or other things like that, other emotional sensations or ways of being. But at least get these three emotions down, and you should find them, because it really is really important. I show this to all my students, because as I mentioned, you cannot expect others to feel it if you don't. And for example, maybe you don't even sing your own lyrics. What if you joined a band that was already there? Let's say you were the new singer in Suffocation or whatever band that you're into. That's a lot of lyrics that you suddenly have to be emotionally connected to or with. So it's not always about us just meaning what we are talking about, but also think that you might join a band that already released an EP or an album or 2 or 5. Then you need to connect with the emotions of these songs. I, for example, once had a cover that I really wanted to do. The verse parts were super easy and I did them basically in first take. But when it came to the chorus, it was basically impossible for me to sing this in a good way, because I could not connect with it emotionally. I tried everything from opening the big book of what to do with your voice, and nothing really sounded great as the verses did in this song, because I really didn't connect with it whatsoever. It was just a chorus, it was just words. It didn't do anything emotionally to me. But the verse parts, they were very much close to me in every aspect. So it's really important to practice finding the songs we connect with, if we do covers especially. When singing your own songs, then be sure that you know what it is all about to you. What I mean and talking about is that, for example, you could be in a gore band where your lyrics are basically about harming others in this or that way. For example, there's of course other examples, but this is a pretty good one to mention. But so you're talking about harming others, but who is this person or thing that makes you so angry and mad? Without a clear sense of emotion, then no one will connect with you in a big way. It is simply sound, and it will sound dull in every aspect, because you're just saying words, then nothing more. So, as I mentioned with the sad, happy, angry, in this case, it's probably you getting angry, right? What is it that makes you super angry and be able to sing about harming others in these type of ways, right? So if your emotions do not come naturally, then you will need to think about these while singing. But as I mentioned before, it is first technique and then it's emotion, never the other way around. So I have two pretty cool stories about emotions and singing and screaming. The first one is from a student of mine, and I was teaching her this at one of her lessons, and I explained to her that you can even hear these emotions through something as weird as a lip roll. So we tried that she went through these emotions while just doing something as simple as a lip roll. I will never forget this experience. It was really crazy to me how well it synced in with her. It took her some time to find the happy one. Angry and sad was a little bit faster. However, when we went into happy, it took her a while to really sink into that pure emotion. What happened was she did the lip roll, and I was listening with closed eyes so I could try to get as much of this in as possible. And when I opened my eyes and she was done, I was like, that really, really felt nice. The only way I could explain it was with an emotional hug. And she just opened her eyes, really like, whoa, okay, what happened here? And she just opened up and said that what she was thinking about was hugging her dad. That was just crazy. I never met this student in person. We never hung out in any way. We just had these lessons. So that shows how important that these emotions they are, because they can suddenly even convey words. And when you are honest in every aspect, when you're singing and really sending these emotions through, then everyone will feel it as well. Another good example was that I once, with the band Verdande, I remember I was sick the day before. Like, I could barely sing. It was like, I have like one octave to work with today, so tomorrow is not going to be a good day. And we had set everything up for recording both the audio and recording from different angles with cameras and everything. So I was already like, okay, we're going to do this and it's going to be super cool. I went in and I headbanged so hard that I stretched something in my neck. So for the rest of that show, I actually couldn't feel much, which made everything harder to do. So even getting that emotionally riled up, you can do something like that, where it's a physical thing and not an emotional thing. Another show with Verdande, as you can tell with the band, mainly screaming and growling and tunnel throating sometimes and so on. But after one of the shows we did, a female came up to me and said, well, you made me cry, and I was like, what? I was like, okay, well, I hope it was happy tears, right? And she said it was, but it was simply because of the subject matter of one of the songs, and I was able to convey these emotions to her in a bigger way. So remember, music and singing is a really high, elevated way of connecting with people, right? You might even listen to a band that's not singing the same language even that you understand, but just the way that the rhythms and the way it's being sung can just convey these emotions. So let's see if there's any questions for today. Ba-ba-ba-bum. So I can see that Flycam has another good question. How do I overcome the urge to wander off a feeling slash emotion during a performance. Like when I tend to lose grip of the emotion I am singing, screaming about on stage. Any tips? That is a really good question. When I am singing these songs, I try to, before the song even gets, I have a set list, so I know what the next song will be. So I already know what the lyrics are about, meaning that I will kind of make myself ready for it. And yeah, just simply add that extra emotional content that lyric made me feel. That's the whole what I talked about, knowing what you're actually talking about in these songs. So it's not just you wandering off in this or that way. You know what this song is about, and you are committed to this in this period. I'm not saying that it's going to be something that we fix like that. It's something that you have to practice a little bit. But when you get more into this way of using your voice, I do believe that it's much more powerful. For example, with Verdande, I had a song about a really bad relationship I was in, and it was named When Forever Ends, and when we were playing it, even in rehearsal space, it's even though it really sometimes connected in a higher way, where everyone in the band just got quiet and we just looked at each other, and just that sensation of a big exhale, like, and it did something more than just me singing the song, because we also tried that quite a few times, and we were like, it didn't do it this time, and we kind of got used to it doing it mainly, and when it didn't, we were a little sad, all of us, because it was such a nice outlet of emotions for everyone, and not just me from singing about this. There's one scream in that song where it's just, I remember almost even letting a tear go when I had to do that scream when recording. So yeah, it's definitely important that we try to keep a grip on the emotion, but I think it comes from organizing how these lyrics, what they mean to you, what they truly mean to you, and not just another lyric that you're singing. I really hope that makes sense. I went on a bit of a on a little jabber there, but yeah, I really hope that made a little bit of sense for you. And hello, Florian, all the way from Germany. And yeah, Flycam came with another question, that is, what do you think? What's the balance of screaming? Is it 50% emotion, 50% technique, or more or less from one or the other? I'd probably say personally say it's like 70% technique, or maybe 80, and then the last bit is just the emotion. When I talk with my students about this, they all think that, yeah, it's just bringing something extra to the table. It's, cheese is really nice if you like cheese on a piece of bread, but when you add something on top of it, it just enhances it. And is that making the cheese taste 100% better? No, but it's adding something more to it. So it's kind of with that in mind, that it depends on first of all, you cannot, as they say also in mixing and mastering, you cannot polish a turd, as they call it. Something that's already bad will not get a lot better from this. Something that is good can be really good, and something that is really good can be something you will never forget. We probably all heard the song by Korn. Again, Korn, I don't know why, but we have a Korn day today, I guess, where he has a song called Daddy. That song is so purely emotional that we all remember it after hearing it, right? So that brought that song from very good to unforgettable. That's what I'm talking about. It is something that adds on top of everything, and it's just making it even more interesting. And maybe you guys remember, I do not know the age groups of who's watching these videos, but at least when I was a teenager, I was laying on my bed listening to these bands I was so into, and some of the songs just put you somewhere mentally, and makes you connect with it. I think that's what it is. When it truly connects emotionally with you, you're not insecure about it. It just works, and you will put that album on again and again and again. Cool, guys. Let me see. So, and now let's honor the tradition of the Black Friday deals. I will reveal now how you can book your RMS lessons 30% or 40% off the original price. Let's grab a pen or a paper or screenshot or what is more convenient for you. So get ready, guys and girls. So we can show you the discount codes and all the relevant information you need to know about this year's Black Friday deal. So it should be somewhere around here. Write it down. So everyone, I truly hope that you enjoyed the webinar. And if you need help with your rock or metal style singing, then go to rmsvocalinstitute.com and book your lesson. If you have any cool ideas for what the next webinar should or could be about, then write it in the comment section or in the chat right now. Or when this webinar is uploaded to our channel, then comment below, and we might take it up, because it's what you guys want to know about as well. And you will then have the option to actually question me, give me questions about whatever you are interested in when it comes to these extreme vocal techniques or vocal effects. So, as you maybe know already, everything we do here is backed up by voice science. And the methods we do are, of course, safe. We will never push you out in the deep end, as I've heard others felt before at other places. We don't do that and hope for the best. We will show you a very effortless way of adding these effects to your voice. And I do not know when the next webinar will be, but I do believe that it won't happen before January, simply because I'm on vacation in a little bit, and also, yeah, it's other vacation days as well, right? As, for example, Christmas and New Year, so don't expect it to happen before January, but I cannot wait to meet you all and see you there. And of course, we would like here at RMS Vocal Institute to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. See you next time. All the best.